Hey guys, welcome to week 9 of our Monday night football breakdown at the Outsiders Fantasy Podcast. As always, I'm John, and this is Drew. So we are going to do things a little bit differently tonight. Not only are we going to give a quick breakdown on the Monday night game, as usual, all of your people mostly have played, except for the people that are obviously playing tonight. If you have any of those guys rostered, so there's not really any start sit issues to go over as usual. But we are still going to break game just to kind of tell you what to expect. And then we are going to go over these key injuries because there were some key injuries in week 9. I want to jump out in front of it, give you those injuries, and also give you some names of some players that could be key to replacing those guys until you can get your main guys back. If you have any of these guys on this list that got injured this week. Some of the injuries aren't so bad. Some of the injuries none of the injuries are really bad, but some have an actual hardcore deadline, like a timeline. Some of them are week to week. Some is concussion, and that's just all in how they pass the protocol. And then since we're coming closer and closer to playoffs, depending on when your playoffs are, I'm going to give you defenses to target. These are going to be kind of more low-key defenses that might be available in your waivers. It's not going to be the obvious Steelers, Ravens, stuff like that. It's going to be more defenses to target rest of the season. And I'm going to give you those names and also the weeks that they're expected to have good weeks for you, because they're not all going to be good weeks. You're going to struggle on at least two to 3 weeks in this week 10 to week 17 period that's coming up. But I'm going to give you the names of the teams and when they're supposed to hit and when they're supposed to miss. I've tried to track it down to where they're gearing up in the middle of this week 10 to 17, as well as finishing on a strong note on week 17, which is usually the championship games for a lot of leagues, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important weeks, because if you make it to the championship, you want your defense to be playing at its best. So I got some names for you on that. But first, we did tease a little bit about what we call these mystery box giveaways. We are getting closer to reaching our goal. First, we said 500, but we didn't realize how close we were to 400 followers already. We're at 394, I believe. So we're 6 away from 400. So what we're going to do, since we have gained that many followers that quickly, and as you guys know, we started week 1. So in 9 weeks, we got almost 400 followers. If we can get 26 more followers, so get us to 420 followers, we are going to start doing those mystery box events. And I know we were kind of vague on what it was and how it was going to work, because we were still trying to work out the details in our heads as well, because this is something that's new to us. But it's something that we want to do for you guys to kind of give back as a thank you. So how it's going to work is, like we said before, there's going to be 32 slots for these events. We will make announcements on our page, the dates and the times for the events. And there's only 32 spots, 32 tickets, quote unquote, is what Facebook gives out, their tickets. And depending on what we're giving away for that event, depends on the price of the ticket. Now, for you fantasy football and football fans, we will be having mystery boxes for NFL players, past and current players. And then if that picks up for our wrestling crowd, we want to start adding mystery boxes as well for our wrestling groups too. So how it works is, once we put the dates and the times up for the events, if you're interested in those, we will put the event name being Mystery Box Helmets, and they'll be autographed JSA certified mini helmets. Then we'll have the autographed football events. Again, JSA certified autographed footballs by either past or current player. And then the big one that everyone's going to want to participate in, but we only have 32 spots for, are the jersey giveaways. And those are legitimate jerseys. You can actually wear them. I wouldn't recommend doing it because they have autographs on them that are legit. So on the events, you'll be able to see what we're giving away. Ticket prices for those helmets are going to be $10 to get a spot. And you can, as many spots as you want to buy. It is what it is. First come, first serve, though. We have 32 available for each of these groups. So we got signed mini helmets. We have signed footballs and then signed jerseys. The JSA certified. They can be verified. They're legitimate. The people that we get these from actually get these autographs from these players. It's not screen printed. It's actual inked on. So, and that's how it'll work. You'll see the events. We'll make the announcement on our page. You'll be able to go to the event, reserve your spot. Facebook will send you a digital ticket, and then all you got to do is sign in. And how the giveaway works is we have a randomizer, digital randomizer. We'll bring that on the page. We'll have your guys' names, everyone that got a ticket. We'll have that on the page, and we will have all 32 NFL teams on the page as well. We'll randomize it. We'll get you paired up with the NFL team. We'll open the mystery box, the item that's in it. We will show you guys just straight away. We'll open the box right in front of you. If the team that you got randomized with is the item that we have, let's say Drew gets the Minnesota Vikings. If we get, if it's a helmet, if it's a Vikings helmet, Drew gets the helmet. If it's a football day, if Drew gets a football that's autographed by a past or current Vikings player, he gets the football. If it's a Vikings jersey, Drew would get the Vikings jersey. And that goes the same with, Titans, Bengals, whatever. And yeah, so basically that's how it goes. So the ticket prices.
Just to add to that point, sometimes you get like a college helmet or a college jersey. For that instance, whatever team that player plays for in the NFL, that's still, like, say if it's a Joe Burrow jersey, college jersey, or a Joe Burrow helmet, then you get we pull a Bengals helmet, then, or if we pull the Joe Burrow LSU, you if you had Bengals, you get that player. So
yeah. So if it's like T. Martin, since it's a past player, if it's a T. Martin UT jersey and you picked
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. It was on the tip of my tongue. Then you would get the T. Martin. Florida Gator Emmitt Smith. If you hit Dallas, you get Emmitt Smith. Things like that. So that's how that will work as far as if we do get college things as well, which in my opinion are even more valuable than the NFL things. Sometimes we will get actual like Hall of Fame players as well. They're mystery boxes, so even we don't know until we get them and open them in front of you. We want to be just as surprised as you guys are. So we don't want to ruin anything. So as soon as we open it, you'll get our initial reaction, our initial shock. We'll show you guys, and if you have the team, you get the item, whether it be college or professional. As long as the player matches up with your professional team that you got random with, you're good to go. As far as shipping is concerned, within the 48 states of the continental U.S., whatever you want to call it, shipping is free. Outside of the 48, so Alaska, we do have some followers in Mexico. By the way, thank you guys in Mexico. We were not expecting people from other countries to follow us. That is super cool. We're super honored by that. We have some people in Ireland, out in Europe as well. Thank you guys so much, first and foremost, for following us. but also just to let you know, so Hawaii, Alaska, and then everything else out of the country, shipping will have to be added to that just to get the item to you. But we'll work that out at a later time. So, were you gonna say something? You look like
I
you
was
had
just
something
going
in
to
mind.
add. Yeah, I was just going to add. I don't want to leave any countries out. We have United Kingdom,
Yeah,
Nigeria, and Ghana. So appreciate
yeah.
each
I
and every one
forgot.
of you.
I forgot about that. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Nigeria. Thank you, Ghana. Thank you, UK. Ireland, Mexico, United States. I mean, everybody. Thank you guys. This is fantastic. Like I said, we've been a thing for 9 weeks, going on 10 right now. We got almost 400 of you guys following us, almost 400 of you liking our pages as well. If you could share the love, share our page. Let's get some more followers going. Let's get up to 420 so we can start doing
Yeah,
these events and get
and
these mystery boxes to you guys. So,
don't forget, once we hit 700, the one chip challenge. Me
yeah.
and Chad are challenge.
Yeah, so we added. I don't know if for you guys that watch our weekly wrestling show. By the way, if you do watch it and you missed the show last night, we're adding a show on Friday. More personable, a little bit more intimate. We're going to share our experience with wrestling, like how we first fell in love with it. We're going to talk about documentaries that are going on. We're going to open up the comments section for everybody so you guys can share your love of wrestling, how you first met wrestling, your first pay-per-views, how you felt about the documentary that we could be talking about at the time. Just whatever. It's Q&As, whatever you guys want to do. It's going to be completely interactive. We're going to, reveal a lot about ourselves as far as what we like, what we don't like, where we started with it, all that kinds of stuff. And we have a lot of things that we want to talk about, like Stone Cold, the people that did the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance on Netflix. They're doing a Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary, so we're going to go over that when that releases. Dark Side of the Ring's coming out with season 4. We can also go over seasons 1 through 3 as well to catch up before season 4 comes out. Right now in November, Undertaker has the 30 days of Taker. They're celebrating his 30th anniversary at Survivor Series. So we're adding a Friday to that. So it'll be Friday. We're going to call it the Wrestling Roundtable. And then on Sunday, we'll still have our This Week in Wrestling, where we go over the pay-per-views and all that stuff like that, and the weekly shows and things. But on Fridays, we will do those mystery boxes for the wrestling fans as well, when that time comes. So, the Saints are the team to beat in the NFL. I'm not 100% sold on that. They did make some very good, at least one very good trade acquisition, or at least an acquisition. I can't remember if it was a trade or just a pickup or a claim, for the defense, and that definitely showed last night. They added a pass rusher, and that made a difference to their team. Also, I don't know, just sometimes Tampa struggles, and it seems like Jameis Winston on the Saints team gives them a little bit of an advantage. I'm sure they change things, but I also am sure that players do talk about teams that let them go if they're scorned by them, and what to look for and things like that. I'm not saying that's the difference maker. I mean, obviously Drew Brees is one of the greatest to ever play. They have a really good defense, Hall of Fame head coach, all that good stuff. But I could see the Saints. They're definitely going to the playoffs. I can see them doing some damage. But once they get to the playoffs, they're going to have to face actually tried and true tested teams that have been playing together for a while, like the Seahawks, the Packers. They'll definitely see the Bucks again, but do what?
As the legend Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So you can't call them the team to beat until somebody beats the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. So the Chiefs are still in my opinion, they have the number one spot.
As far as AFC goes, yeah, Chiefs are definitely it. NFC, it's Seattle's tough too, man.
Yeah, it's a
Although
three-way toss.
they got handled pretty easily yesterday.
Yeah, but it just their defense is still trying to figure it out. They added a new pass rusher. Jamal Adams just got healthy and came back, so I think they still got to warm up into it. But there were some plays that were just absolutely just awful, like Bobby Wagner and all of them were just making terrible plays. But I see
Tyler,
it picking up.
the Steelers are very tough too.
They are tough, but they have been showing that they're not invincible. They've been winning by like
Dallas,
three points.
As bad as Dallas has been, they brought in Gabbert off the street that wasn't even playing football 2 weeks ago, and I mean, we almost pulled one out yesterday. So, in the last couple of weeks, their run game has been their run defense has been really good, but the last couple of weeks, even Baltimore kind of shredded them in the running game, and Dallas even ran the ball on them yesterday. So.
Yeah, and then I believe the past 3 weeks at least, they've only won by like 3 points. So
yeah,
yeah, he did for sure. So that's how the mystery box is going to go. Like I said, we're going to do it for our NFL fans on Fridays. Once we reach that magic number of 420 followers, we're gonna get our wrestling fans involved as well. I know for sure we'll have some, autographed Ric Flair boots, like actual size wrestling boots with Rick's actual autograph on it. There's other wrestlers as well. I don't want to give out too many names and too many details, but just wanted to throw one big name out there to show you that we're not BSing around. It's not going to be Chris Masters or Hurricane Helms or something like that. They're legit people. Those other guys may be in there. It is a mystery box, but it's not all there is. They have people like on the scale of Ric Flair. So, but enough about that. This is football, not wrestling. So, speaking of, Drew, you want to go ahead and break down the Monday night game for us before we get into what to expect going forward in the season?
All right, yeah. As far as the game goes, last week the Jets found another way to lose. They didn't give up a sack. They didn't throw an interception. They just they still found a way to lose, although it was the Chiefs, so it's not hard to lose against them.
Hold on. Wait 1 second. I saw an awesome comment. Chad and I talked about this in a past weekend wrestling episode. My Sting mask. Oh my gosh, Tyler, blast from the past, bud. If you're still on, you just made my night with that one. Everybody that knows me knows that story, but that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, sorry, Drew. Go ahead. I just had to.
Oh, you're good. Sam Darnold only had 130 yards, 4.4 yards per attempt, and a 70.6 rating last week. He is inactive tonight. Joe Flacco will get the start.
Joe Cool.
And yeah,
Joe cooled off.
Yeah, Joe lukewarm.
Yeah, right.
But one good thing is for them, their running game has been pretty good. Lost my. Last week they had 93 yards and 3.7 yards a carry against a good Chiefs defense, but for the year they're averaging 4.3, which is 18th in the league, so middle of the pack. But it's still pretty good, and they're averaging 103 yards a game. The Patriots' run defense is giving up 4.6 yards, 140 yards a game, which is 27th worst in the league, and they gave up 5 yards a carry last week to the Bills. So that's one positive for the Jets. Their passing offense hasn't been that great anyways. They're only averaging 155.9 yards per game. That's last in the league. 5.3 yards per attempt. That's last in the league. 56.67 completion percentage. Last in the league. A 65.7 passer rating. Also last in the league. So, and they have, as far as the run game go, they do have Frank Gore. I mean, the guy just keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going. So I look for them to run quite quite a bit with the Patriots. Pass defense is pretty good, only giving up an 89.8 rating, which is 11th in the league, and 216 yards a game. So I do look for the Jets to run quite a bit. So maybe if you're just needing a last minute running back, maybe Gore or one of their running backs, maybe. As far as the Patriots go, Damian Harris has pretty much stepped in right now as their main guy at running back. And that's been the Patriots' one bright spot too is their running game. Last week he had 102 yards, 6.4 yards a carry, and a touchdown. But to play off of that, the Jets' run defense has been their best part of their defense. Only giving up 4.1 yards a carry and 116 yards a game, which ranks 13th in the league. They held the Chiefs to under 3 yards a carry last week. Their pass defense, on the other hand, is atrocious. They gave up 5 touchdowns and 416 yards last week to Patrick Mahomes. But the good thing about that is Cam Newton probably shouldn't have been in the same sentence as Patrick Mahomes. So, and he's been struggling quite a bit this year. So,
yes, he has.
That's about all I have as far as this game goes, as far as the stat lines and breakdown. Anyway.
Yeah. So a couple of comments to get out here. Thoughts on Lamar Jackson. As far as, so I don't know quite how you mean that. So we'll take it two different ways. We'll go over season so far and thoughts on him going forward. Me personally, I think it's been a disappointing season. He's reverted back to running back Lamar Jackson. Granted, there has been games. Yeah, I agree. He has regressed. He's definitely not an MVP form right now. Now, granted, he has been still. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say to the he's regressed part. I think a lot of teams have figured him out more or less. He's sacked way more this year than way more frequent this year than he was last year, and I think that's him just trying to do anything and everything he can to help his team. Which I mean, that's what you expect a guy to do, but sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and throw it away instead of taking the sack.
Yeah, but I think this is showing what separates the good from the great. Like Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. He's not great yet. The difference is somebody like Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, players like that, where teams thought, okay, so we put a spy on Russell Wilson, we're good. Because he likes to move around and make plays with his feet and stuff like that. Russell figured that out within a season, and by the end of the season, he had already adjusted, made his adjustments, and became right back up to the top of the pack. Same with Kyler Murray. He struggled at first. He figured people out. After they figured him out, he knew what defenses were trying to do to him, and he's adjusted. And of course, Kyler Murray has been showing, Aaron Rodgers, everyone, all those great quarterbacks like Drew Brees, they doubted his arm strength, so they even though he doesn't have the greatest arm strength down the field, he's got enough arm strength to be super accurate. So he beat him at that. So there's the great quarterbacks that know where their faults are and what defenses are trying to take away because of where they're weak at, and they're able to adjust and get stronger at that. Lamar Jackson, he has been. I agree with Drew. I also agree with Tyler shortly after you said it, Drew. He said it's because people know how to defend. I think it is because they do know how to defend him now. Groman is really great at drawing up plays and stuff for those types of quarterbacks. He was calling Kaepernick's dude when they went to the Super Bowl, but shortly after that, Kaepernick wasn't that same dynamic player. because it also seems like Greg Roman can't adjust either. He finds what fits and he tries to just keep doing it, hoping that it'll work. So Lamar has definitely regressed passing wise. He's even regressed running wise, but that's saying a lot because he was really good at running. Now even that he's Lamar average at running, he's still good at running. But it's just he's not deadly anymore.
Yeah, as far as his passing goes, I mean, it's not bad for a running back.
Yeah, for sure. He still passes better than any running back I've ever seen. But and he definitely runs better than any quarterback. So he's like better than the other position, but he's not good at his position, if that makes sense.
And while we're just on the subject of quarterbacks, this is totally random. You were talking about Drew Brees and how he's been. As much crap as we gave Phillip Rivers over the season, just in before we even started the show, just in part our life outside of this, he
didn't deserve Marino in what
on the all-time passing list yardage.
I know, I'm just kidding. He also passed LeBron for the best flop in sports history this weekend. In my opinion, LeBron James does have the best flops in athletic history, but I think Phillip Rivers took the crown from him last week. Literally didn't even try to make it seem like he tripped. He just fell backwards and stuck his hand up in there and high-fived the dude's cleat as he was running over top of him. So congratulations to Phillip Rivers. Congrats on passing Dan Marino and also passing him on the amount of kids that you're able to birth. I think he's also set an NFL record with like 27. Congrats to Phillip Rivers. That was one heck of a tackle. Pretty cool. Yeah, that is cool. And in all seriousness, that's fantastic. If you can pass Dan Marino in anything, then that's definitely saying something for sure. Hold on, we have another. Cam calling Lamar, in my opinion, are physically elite. Yeah, so I agree. So Colin Kaepernick and Lamar Jackson, they rely more on their physical God-given ability because that's what got them through college. That's what made them so successful. They didn't have to learn how to adjust because teams couldn't adjust to them. And usually after they were in the MVP, like Cam won an MVP off his athletic ability. Lamar won an MVP off his athletic ability. Colin Kaepernick helped the 49ers get to the Super Bowl along with that amazing defense of Patrick Willis because of his athletic ability. They've been so good their entire lives, Pee-wee through high school, through college, and the first couple of years in the NFL. They didn't really have to learn how to read defenses like Tom Brady, who ran like a 10-second 40, or Peyton Manning, who also ran like a 10-second 40, or Drew Brees, who didn't have the arm strength, or Joe Burrow that's got the small hands. They didn't have to really think about the game in different ways. They, like Cam and Lamar, they only have one train of thought, and they know how to play the way they know how to play. And granted, they can get tweaked every here and there, but overall, it's hard to break that from them. And you see it when they're under duress, they default straight to their athleticism. And the thing about that is, as we all know, getting older as people in general, your athleticism goes way before your brain goes. That's why Brett Favre was able to have such a great career. Granted, he still had a heck of a cannon at the late stage of his career. That was just, he got a miracle when he was born. But he wasn't as athletic, like running wise and stuff like that, towards the end of his career. But he had played so long, he knew what defenses were doing. He knew how to adjust to it. Same thing with, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, all those people, John Elway. He, when he won his back-to-back Super Bowls, he had kind of lost his athletic ability, but he had a great running game. But he also knew what the defense was trying to do and what he could do with that defense. So all the other players, like you're saying, Russ, Steve Young, Kyler Murray, Joe Montana, Joe Namath, all those people, all the way back to Johnny Unitas, all those people, and all the players that I also named. They're just so smart and cerebral that when their athletic ability starts to fail them, either in old age or in just a particular game, they know how to adjust themselves in order to make a difference one way or another.
Another pretty good quarterback that a lot of people forget about, but Cowboys got to see him quite often, was Randall Cunningham. He was a good scrambling quarterback. Really, probably one of the very first true scramblers.
Really big, famous
in the game. Really, yeah. And he was a great passer too. It wasn't just his legs, but he was Michael Vick before Michael Vick.
Yeah, I remember watching him at one of the Pro Bowls. They brought in a bunch of older players to throw off like an accuracy contest. I can't remember if he won or not, but him and another one would be Warren Moon.
I was just thinking that Warren Moon was a great one.
But they had accuracy contests, and those dudes can still sling it, or at least when they had that show, they were in their 50s or whatever, but they were still able to sling balls. So it just shows that the athletic ability, it never quite leaves all the way. You still have parts of it, but you have to learn how to compensate for those parts you lost with how you think. Aaron Rodgers has broken ankles. He's injured his knees. He's broken collarbones because he used to hold on to the ball late, try to run around, make plays. He still does that from time to time, but now Aaron's one of the best at just getting rid of the ball, whether it be to a receiver or to the sideline. If he's got to run to make a play, like if he knows something has to work, or if he knows it will work if he just buys a little time, granted, he can still scramble, make a pass, it'll work. But him, Tom Brady, people like that, they'll be one of the first ones to chuck it down out the sideline if they don't see what they like. It doesn't matter to them. So
Warren Moon was a guy I think honestly was kind of underrated. Like didn't a lot of people really give him those props, but the man is at number 11 all time in passing. So I mean, he didn't get there by not being great.
Yeah, for sure. So great comment, Tyler, bringing up a really good thing. Dante Culpepper. Oh man. But Dante Culpepper, okay, so big dude, big arm, but was he good because he was good and big with a big arm and mobile, or was he good because he played with Chris Carter and Randy Moss in their prime? You had Randy Moss. You had Randy Moss as a rookie and his rookie year, second year, third year. Like, he was a monster ever since he got into the NFL. Run faster than anybody, jump higher than anybody, out-leap people. Chris Carter, after he got over his issues with Philadelphia and his drug problems and stuff like that, and he cleaned up his act, Coach Green gave him a shot with Minnesota, and he became one of the greatest just possession receivers. He could toe tap with the best of them, catching over the middle. Chris Carter, one of the best. And so Dante Culpepper had two different types of receivers to throw to in different types of situations. Sometimes you needed possession catches to get out of bounds, or over the middle catches to move the chains. Chris Carter was your guy, and he was so great at route running, so good with his hands, you didn't have to worry about it. If you wanted big plays, big shots, Hail Marys, whatever, first and 20s, or offsides, you get free play. chuck it down the field to Randy Moss. More than likely, it's not a 50. They call them 50-50 balls, but with Randy at that time, they weren't 50-50 balls. It was more like 75-25. After we see what happened after he left Minnesota, or after he broke up from Chris Carter and Randy. I don't know if that was at that time. Age might have set in, so I don't think we really got to see the true what Dante Culpepper was all about. Just because of the time frame that he played with two of some of the best wide receivers ever.
Where do you put Donovan McNabb? He was kind of in that same time frame.
I mean, I think Donovan McNabb personally was better than Dante Culpepper.
Yeah.
He didn't have those big name receivers. Granted, he did have Andy Reid. I liken Dante Culpepper. Now, I'm not saying they're on the same par, but Dante Culpepper reminded me a lot of Steve McNair. They were mobile when they had to be, but they weren't Michael Vick mobile. They weren't even Russell Wilson mobile. They were just they're like Steve Young. They were just fast enough and elusive enough that they could sneak out on you. But they were predominantly
Aaron
pocket
Rodgers
passers.
is kind of the same way as far as running.
Yeah, that's true. But they were predominantly pocket passers. One of the big, and then of course, like I said, Donovan McNabb had Andy Reid, who, as we see, has turned into one of the best coaches of all time. I think Donovan McNabb's biggest downfall was not being able to make it work with T.O. I know T.O. is a handful, but as a quarterback, I believe it's your responsibility to be bigger than that, bigger than all of that.
And Tyler made a great point in the comment about Donovan. I believe he's talking about Donovan now. Yeah, he did in the big games when it came down to it. That was his downfall.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of people's downfall. I mean, for a while, Peyton Manning
Marino
as well.
Marino's perfect example.
Jim Kelly lost four Super Bowls. For whatever reason, not necessarily. I mean, it is a team game, but for whatever reason, they just couldn't put all the pieces together. So I don't know. But they did have the Eagles had a great defense back then. They had Brian Dawkins. They had Willie McGinnis. All those good people. Brian Westbrook for running back. They had a lot of dynamic people. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and even Romo, you could put him in that same category. He was pretty good till he had to be,
Yeah,
but he's
true.
an amazing commentator. I think he's hands down found his calling for sure.
Yeah, he's fantastic with that. He needs to be put in Madden for sure.
Definitely. I honestly thought they were going to this new
I would hope so. Yeah, I agree. Steve McNair, if you go by his numbers, he wasn't the greatest. But number one, I'm partial. He also won an MVP. Granted, it was a co-MVP, but he did win an MVP. Yes, he did have Eddie George and Frank Wycheck, but Eddie George was hurt a lot. Turf toe was his worst enemy throughout his career. Frank Wycheck, one of the most, I believe, underrated tight ends. Yeah, that's the thing. He knew how to win. And Steve was one of the toughest SOBs on the planet. All he needed was a nap before the game, and he was ready to go. It didn't matter. And even when Eddie wasn't playing, he still had Frank Wycheck. I mean, you had Kevin Dyson, you had Yancey Thigpen, all those players. I mean, they were great receivers. But
speaking of, not to get off subject, but Frank Wycheck and Dyson, and did you see the Cowboys version of the Music City Miracle yesterday?
No.
They did it, but it was on a punt. They threw it all the way back across the field, and dude was literally 5 yards from scoring, but it ended up getting called back for blocking it back. But it was just it was
typical
perfect.
Cowboys.
As soon as they did it, as soon as they did it, I was like, when they threw it back across the field, I was like, they're doing the Music City Miracle because I was at my dad's house. So, and he was like, I'll be damned if I ain't. You know how my dad is. So
Yeah. Oh man. All right, cool. So good reminiscing. Let's get back on track just so we can get some good information to these people. Um, so the Eagles, number one, they're coming off a bye week. So I know I preached Boston Scott a couple weeks ago. He is now Miles Sanders is probably going to be returning, as well as Dallas Goedert. He's off injured reserve now. He's had a week during the bye week to get some extra practice in. Richard Rodgers, Boston Scott, those guys are definitely starting to become expendable really quickly. So if you guys can trade them, maybe somebody's not paying attention. They might trade for one of them. Richard Rodgers still has some relevance because the Eagles do like to run double tight, and so Dallas Goedert will definitely get the number one role. But Rodgers will probably get relegated to what Dallas Goedert's role is when Zach Ertz is in the game. So you might still be even. So Richard Rodgers still might have some significant value in some of y'all's leagues if you have a double tight end league or something like that. But yeah, if Miles Sanders, if your bench is really short and you have to drop players that are essentially injured, that makes it kind of a feeding frenzy, a brawl for all, or whatever you want to call it for players on the waivers. Miles Sanders would definitely be someone to target. He's really dynamic, and the Eagles are definitely needing somebody in that running game. Or in the backfield for that running game, as well as someone that can be dynamic with Carson Wentz passing to him. So, also, like I said a week or two ago, it's getting closer and closer. Alshon Jeffrey, he's looking like he's gonna make an appearance this year, maybe in a couple of weeks or so. Probably before Zach Ertz comes back. It's still up in the air, but they haven't rolled him out for this yet. So if you have a deeper bench or if you have a good enough roster where you can afford to just stash somebody, even if they never play, Alshon Jeffrey is definitely one of those. I know Fulgrim's been filling in, but I mean, once Alshon comes in, it's definitely going to change the playing field for sure. In some way, because people are still going to need to guard Fulgham. They're going to need to guard Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz is coming back. They're going to be loaded. So Alshon's going to get a lot of coverage if he does make a return. So, granted, he's on the outside of my list of somebody that I would make a priority. But if you got the room for it, he definitely take a shot on it. So, so for the people that got injured in Week 9. We'll go over that and what kind of injury it is and all that stuff. So for the Colts, Jack Doyle, he is now in concussion protocol. As you all know, Mo Alley-Cox is also a viable option every week. He's probably on a lot of teams out there. If he's not, definitely pick him up because he became a lot more valuable with Jack Doyle out. But if someone does have Mo, and you are in need of a tight end, Trey Burton is also a viable option. He played on the Bears for a little while. He's been around. I'm sure you've heard his name. He's a very decent tight end. He's got good hands. He's great in the red zone. But most importantly, 2 times this year, he has actually scored rushing touchdowns as a quarterback in their Wildcat formation. So he also brings a different dynamic into the game as well because he might give you live rushing yards and a rushing touchdown as well. Granted, I wouldn't be going after him to be like my starting tight end or something like that unless you absolutely need a tight end. I flirted with getting him last week because I'm down to Eric Ebron. So sometimes you got to get desperate, but he's also somebody to definitely take a little bit seriously now that Jack Doyle's out with a concussion. And as you guys know, it's just protocol. It's 5 steps. they get through it when they get through it. So we can't really call that. David Johnson also in concussion protocol. So obviously Duke Johnson is the next man up. Duke Johnson, I believe he did get he did get 20 touches for 73 yards and a touchdown, I believe, last week. So he's still a dynamic player. He's a great backup. I would put him as a running back 2 with David Johnson out because not only does he run the ball, but he's really good in the receiving game as well. And as you guys know, we mostly talk about PPR, but either way, if you're involved in the passing game and the running game, touches is the name of the game, no matter what position it is. If it's running back, tight end, wide receiver, the more touches you get, the more chances you get to make plays and to get points. Whether you're in PPR or standard scoring, it's very simple, very basic. The more touches, the better shot you have. So Duke Johnson is definitely somebody to pick up if you're in dire need of a running back and you had David Johnson, or if you don't have David Johnson. Duke Johnson is somebody that's probably going to be on your waivers. Somebody who's questionable to play next week, Joe Mixon. I assume he's going to play because they had this bye week and they sat Joe for the Titans game on purpose because they knew that they were coming up on a bye week. And they're not really playing for much because their record's not that good. I mean, they could turn it around and squeak in, get a wild card spot, but they definitely kept Joe Mixon. He's questionable to play this next week. If just in case, if you have Joe Mixon, I would pick up Gio. Even if you don't have Joe Mixon and Gio is available and you have a spot on your roster for him, I would pick him up and find someone who has Joe Mixon and kind of dangle that out there for him because Gio has produced when Joe Mixon hasn't been in there. So it's not like you're trying to BS somebody and pull a fast one on them. Gio is definitely valuable to Joe Mixon owners. So that's someone to target for sure. Nick Chubb has been released to return to practice. And if he does not play this week, he will probably play next week. Thank goodness, because I have Nick Chubb. So if you have Kareem Hunt, that's a little. You have several options there. Number one, you can keep Kareem Hunt, but just know that he's going to be splitting the field again with Nick Chubb, and it's Nick Chubb's offense. I know Kareem Hunt's great. He's been doing fantastic in Nick Chubb's absence, but this offense is geared towards Nick Chubb. So no matter what, when Chubb is up to 100% form, Kareem Hunt's touches are definitely going to go down. So you could keep Kareem Hunt, move him to your flex spot, promote someone else to a starting running back role. Or you could trade him right now and try to trade him high. You get something pretty decent for him. Maybe 2 decent players, maybe 1 good player, just depending on where your needs are and what you can work out with somebody. You definitely can sell high on them. Or if you have both of them, like if you were able to get Kareem Hunt at the beginning of the season and you drafted Nick Chubb or something like that, you can keep both of them, start both of them. They're definitely a type of back. Usually I don't like stacking, but they are a type of backfield that, any given week, they both can have really good games, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. Or you can trade Kareem Hunt again, trade him high, but Nick Chubb comes back and starts having monster games and gets his touches back. So there's one for you if you have Chubb. David Montgomery for the Browns. He is in concussion protocol right now. Again, it's all in how quickly he gets over it. Cordarrelle Patterson, if you're super desperate, he is the next man up. Cordarrelle Patterson, the upside to him is he can play a lot of different positions. He plays wide receiver, he can play running back, he can return punts and kicks. So he's definitely if he's going to be
kind of their Taysom Hill.
Yeah, exactly. if they can, or back in the day, Slash, if you remember Cordell Stewart, he's their Slash, punt returner / kick returner / wide receiver / running back. So he's definitely a viable flex option since he's going to be the main or one of the main pieces in the backfield while David Montgomery's out. Because they also can move him all over the field, and then you got the chance of return yards as well if he does end up returning. He's a little bit older, so I don't see him returning a lot as much now, but I mean, if he does, I mean, it's a win-win for you. So, but again, that's only in like super deep leagues or small bench leagues or something like that. If you're desperate for someone, he wouldn't be at the front of the line for my pick. But he's definitely a viable option for a flex if you need one. So Shenault, Laviska Shenault for the Jaguars, he has a hamstring injury. It's going to be about 2 to 3 weeks from what they've said. Obviously, DJ Shark, he's probably taken in your leagues already. If he's not, get him for 100%. But if he is not available, Chris Conley and Keelan Cole are also viable options. Because those two guys they step up in the target hierarchy now that Shenault is down for 2 to 3 weeks. So something that really troubles me and probably troubles a lot of people that own this guy, Christian McCaffrey just got back from injured reserve, but he has a possible mild sprain in his AC or SC shoulder joint. It's a grade 1. Which isn't bad. So if if he does sit, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, probably more like 1 to 2. He's kind of tough, and they have really good rehab staff. Sure, they want to get him out on the field as much as possible. Coming from somebody that had AC joint issues, being a running back, it's going to be hard for him to catch if his mobility is bothering him and his shoulder is kind of stiffened up, if that pain is really severe. But they also could give him, like a cortisone shot before the game or something like that, and that can totally help his range of motion. And he can go out there and still catch passes. But even if that weren't the case, he's still very dangerous in the running game, and it's 100% possible for him to just tough it out and play just with the running game. But him being their golden goose or whatever, I don't see them trying to push it too hard to hurt him even worse. And they do have Mike Davis, who's been doing a very good job. So if you have Mike Davis, you could keep him, hold on to him, because Christian McCaffrey could be out again another week or two. Or if you want to take a risk that will pay off, if Christian McCaffrey if he does end up sitting a couple of weeks, you could probably offload Mike Davis now. If you got somebody that you can get by with, offload Mike Davis, get something a little bit more longer lasting. Because once Christian McCaffrey again comes back and he's healthy, I'll have Tyler said he'll have to trade it. He can trade him to me. I might have to seriously consider that. I'll look at our situations later, and I will. I'll text you. Yeah. But yeah. So CMC he could be down for a week or two. So Mike Davis is definitely the next man up. But if you want to take a risk, if you are in the lead or you're in anywhere from first to third place or something in your league, and you can take a risk and lose a game or two or something like that just in case it doesn't work out. Probably not going to happen because of what you could possibly get from Mike Davis right now, especially with CMC not an option. I would probably trade him a little bit early, just like Bill Belichick does and the Patriots do. They always trade them a season earlier than they should, and that's why they get good value for their players. So that's definitely a viable option with that. And then just try to make it work until Christian McCaffrey comes back if you have if you own Christian McCaffrey. So another one, another running back, Justin Jackson for the Chargers. He has a knee injury. It's unknown or unclear of what the knee injury is for some reason. So that's like a day-to-day thing. So Joshua Kelly is going to be the next man up for that if Justin Jackson does not play. They also signed Kailyn Bellage off the Dolphins. Now, Joshua Kelly and Kailyn Bellage, they did split touches, but Josh Kelly seemed to be the more focused one, especially in the passing game. But Kailyn Bellage, we've seen him play, and he can be really decent at times for sure. It's just Gaskin was better, so he stayed. But Joshua Kelly, I would lean more Joshua Kelly just because he's a really dynamic player. And he's good in open space. He's good in the passing game, especially if you're in the PPR league. Ben Roethlisberger, I'm just mentioning this. We all know Ben Roethlisberger. It'd probably take a gunshot wound to the head for him to miss a week, and then he'd still find a way to play somehow. He's a mild MCL sprain. If he does sit, since they are undefeated, I could see them sitting Ben just for a week or two because they can afford to lose games. I know Mike Tomlin's not after an undefeated season. It would be a cherry on top, but Mike Tomlin's there to win Super Bowls. He's never had a losing season in Pittsburgh, so his job's not in jeopardy. It would just kind of be gluttonous or selfish to just go for a perfect season with your quarterback having an MCL sprain and possibly or potentially damaging it worse. So if he does sit him, hopefully you should have a backup quarterback waiting anyway, but just wanted to report on it because as we all know, Ben is really tough. He's played right after knee surgery before. He's played with broken noses. He's played with just about every type of injury you can function on the football field with. And Preston Williams, he's a wide receiver for the Dolphins. He's got a grade 2 foot sprain. He's going to be out multiple weeks. If you have a deep league and you need a wide receiver or flex, Jakeem Grant, he's shown. Now, granted, this was with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know how he does with Tua, but he's an option as well. Because Preston Williams, he did have a good week with Tua. And since Jakeem Grant plays the same position, the same side as Preston Williams, I assume that's going to be more of the natural go-to for Tua, him and apparently Gesicki. As well as if you don't have Jimmy Graham, pick him up. You're dumb. Curtis Samuel, if you don't have him, pick him up. You're dumb. Somebody that I see making a splash continuing into the season is J.D. McKissick. He's averaging 4.4 yards per carry, but he's also getting almost 6 targets a game in the passing game. And this past week, he saw 14 targets. He got 9 of them for 65 yards. So that's 15 points in a PPR league plus whatever he got on the ground. So J.D. McKissick is somebody under the radar that everybody needs to know about really quickly. Richie James Jr., he might go back into relevancy. He's a wide receiver for the 49ers, by the way, if you didn't know. I really didn't until week 9. But Kendrick Bourne and Brandon Ayuk are expected to return next week. So that could put Richie James back in the pecking order some. But when he got 184 yards on 13 targets and a touchdown, I think he put the entire wide receiver core and the coaching staff on notice, showing that he can play. So, he somebody to at least look after. Put them on your watch list. If you have Yahoo, I know there's a watch list for players you can add them on. Definitely keep a lookout for him because he could get back out there and make a splash for sure. And then, we talked about Duke Johnson and Kailyn Bellage. So those are some waiver wire pickups, some injuries, some replacements to go over individually, like player-wise. So, and then defenses to target for the rest of the season. This is a little bit harder to decipher, but I came up with kind of like a formula on how to pick these apart. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 teams. I could have extended it a little bit, but then it would just kind of get to average defenses, and it wouldn't really make that much of a difference. So now, granted, just put in asterisks. These are not defenses that are expected to outperform Baltimore and Pittsburgh and all these other really good defenses that have already established themselves. These are defenses that if you're a streamer like I am, like a lot of people are, and you go week to week, if you are making a playoff push, if you're already guaranteed almost a playoff spot, and if you're thinking that you potentially be in the championship game, and you're a streamer, these are defenses to look at going forward from week 10 to week 17. So I'm going to name the defenses, and I'm going to tell you the weeks that they should post very decent numbers to help get you a win. And like I said earlier in the show, the later success that they have, the better it is for you, because it's in the playoffs, it's in the championship potentially when the games really count. So it just depends on whenever you guys start your playoffs. So these aren't in any particular order. They're just some of the ones that stood out to me. So Cincinnati, so week 10 through week 15, they should be a very decent defense to keep up with. The only I think they're going to drop off week 16 and 17. So if your championship goes into week 16 and 17, if you have a 2-week championship, and then total points, winner takes all, Cincinnati might not be for you if your team isn't that strong. If you need a playoff push and you need a defense to get you into the playoffs and get you far into the playoffs and your roster's solid everywhere else, Cincinnati would be one that you can possibly target, help pedal you through. Seattle is another one. They should be picking up, like I said, they added a pass rusher right before the trade deadline. They still also have KJ Wright and I just said his name earlier, Bobby Wagner. Jamal is back. They have a really, really good defense. Sometimes they put it together, sometimes they haven't, but when they haven't, it's been because there's been some absences on the team. So when everybody gets healthy and in there, week 11 through 15, I see them really taking off or being a solid, steady defense. A little bit of drop off at week 16, but then they'll be picking back up week 17, which is, again, very important. So overall, one of the teams, and that's probably the most rounded as far as what you want when they're going to be strong and when they're going to be weak, if they're going to be. Las Vegas, the Raiders. So week 9 and 10, or weeks 9 and 10. Week 13 and then 15 through 17 should be solid weeks for them. So again, like Seattle, they are ending on a high note. They're starting off on a high note. They're going to have some down weeks in 11 and 14, but overall it's going to be solid throughout the middle of that run too. Buffalo, they do have a bye week, week 11, but weeks 12 through 15, they should have solid weeks, and they'll dip in 16, and then again, week 17, they should be solid. I tried to find the teams that had this sort of similar makeup or formula as far as starting off strong, have a couple of strong middle weeks, and then ending on a strong note. So Buffalo is again one of those teams. By week 11, 12 through 15 should be solid. In week 16 and then 17, they should be again solid for you. New Orleans, we saw what they did to Tampa Bay. I'm not picking them for this list because of what they did to Tampa Bay. I mean, that had definitely a part to play in it, but they did make some moves before the trade deadline, and as we see, it did pay dividends. So weeks 10, 12 through 14, and week 17, they should have decent weeks for you. Again, week 11, week 16, that you should see a dip in their performance. But other than that, they should be pretty solid for you in those other weeks. Green Bay is another team that is starting to pick up. Their secondary is really good. So week 10, week 12 through 15, and again, week 17, they'll be dipping in week 11, week 16. That is another team defense to go for. And then finally, the LA Rams, great secondary. They got Aaron Donald, so great pass rush. Weeks 12, 13, 15, and 17. So they have probably the smallest amount of weeks that they're going to be solid, but they're at key times, in my opinion. So 12 and 13, kind of in the middle, 15 right in the middle, like at the end of the playoffs before the championship, and then week 17, the final game of your championship. So they would probably, if I was rating them, the Rams and Cincinnati would probably be at the bottom of my list of targeting. Seattle, Las Vegas, Buffalo, and Green Bay in that order. Seattle, Buffalo, Las Vegas, Green Bay in that order, then New Orleans, and then I would probably go with LA and then Cincinnati last if I was going to rank them, just because of the drop-off weeks that they have, and the talent that they have. So those are the 7 defenses to look for if you plan on making a playoff push, and also if you plan on making the championship. So if you're fighting just to, if you're going in the consolation bracket or something like that, still, if you want to have a respectable season, you pick up one of those defenses as well. It's not just for people that are for sure going to make it. If you want to ruin some lives, if you're not going to make the playoffs anyway, pick up some of those defenses so other players can't. Some people do that. I hate those people, but it's part of the game, even though you're scumbags. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's all I got for tonight, just to give you a little bit of a head start on this week, hitting up them waivers, making some moves. So those are my individual players as well as the defenses to look for, and to also the injury report as well. So you got anything else, Drew?
Just maybe a score update on the game for the ones still watching us. It is currently 7-3, New England, and I believe they just punted, so Jets are getting the ball back. Frank Gore's having a good game so far. He's got 6 carries for, I think, 35 yards. So
that's nice. That's nice. Very nice. It's also the Patriots, though. Not saying that they're not good. We got to keep in mind they had a lot of players opt out this offseason on defense. So
Cam is actually pretty efficient. 6 for 6, 70 yards. And he ran for he's the one that scored a touchdown. He ran for it. Joe Flacco, 6 for 9, 56 yards.
I still don't like that number for Cam. 6 for 6 for 70. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems a little low for Cam. But he got that rushing touchdown in there, which is
he's been struggling passing the ball, so anything's pretty good right now.
That's true. That is very true. and
He
it's always
built
good to
some
get a
confidence.
quarterback with a rushing touchdown. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for that update. Anything else you got?
I believe that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, guys. So we'll see you on Thursday to kick off Week 10, starting with Thursday Night Football. And then, of course, like we said, our first Wrestling Roundtable show is going to be this Friday. And then, of course, we'll hit you up with the Sunday slate as well. And This Week in Wrestling on Sunday evening, usually when we do it. And again, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get the name out there. Get us to 420 likers and followers, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. Outsiders, you can be the outsiders with us. And we'll start doing those mystery boxes for you guys, get those events set up, get those tickets out, and get you guys some real cool JSA certified autograph memorabilia, whether it be mini helmets, footballs, or actual like full size jerseys and stuff like that. So also
then we'll move on to then we'll move on to the event of the year, the one chip challenge.
Yeah, and then actually, at 700 followers, we will do one chip challenge times 2. I will not be participating in
actually, let me scroll back in the comments. My little brother actually said if we get to 700, he will do the one chip challenge with us, and he will put hot sauce on it. So I'm holding him to that.
There you go. He's going to kick it up a notch. All right, so we got 3 people.
There we go.
There we go.
So right there.
There you go. It's on tape. He adds hot sauce. He didn't put a specific name, so I guess I get to pick what it is. So, Dylan's also gonna stick his neck out on the line. You gotta love brothers, man. Also the big number 700, and then we'll have 3 people falling out, throwing up and stuff for you, doing that one chip challenge. I am not going to do that. I will be on here laughing my ass off with you guys, but someone needs to be able to do the show for the rest of the week in case these guys' tongues swell up and they can't talk. Also, it says on the box, can cause seizures. I have epilepsy. I'm not flirting with disaster. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. So, also, I don't like spicy.
We'll take this one for the team.
If we get, I'll do something. Obviously, I'm a tattoo guy. To 1,000 followers, I'll get something tattooed on me. I'll let you guys vote on what it is. I'll give you guys some options, some silly stuff, and I'll let you guys vote or something. We'll do some crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, give them some options. We don't want to go too off the wall and have some regrets spelt the way that you spelt it. Yeah, regrets.
Regrets. You don't get to pick where I put it, but I might have regrets on that list just for the heck of it. I'll have it in a place that people won't laugh at me all the time for it. Maybe. Thoughts are the classic. If you've watched the movie Jackass, get your name on me. But actually, like the word "your name," we could do the regrets. We could do some funny pictures. I don't know. Let's get to 1,000 followers first, and then we'll figure that out. 420. We're gonna start doing those mystery boxes with that JSA certified memorabilia for NFL and for wrestling, depending on what you're a fan of or both. We get to 700. We'll have 3 people on here doing the one chip challenge. One of those brave souls is going to actually add hot sauce to it. 1,000 followers, I will get a tattoo on me out of the choices that you vote on. So, and the more people we get, the more crazy stuff we'll do. We'll just again, it's up to you guys as well. Like, share, subscribe. Put in the comments what you'd like to see us do at a certain following amount, and then we'll go from there. This show's for you guys. It's fun for us, but we do it to entertain y'all as well. So it's not a good time for us if it's not a good time for you. So, again, we appreciate everybody that is a follower and a liker. I don't know how else to say that, but for people that have liked our page and for the
Such a
followers of our
liker.
page, yeah, you're such a liker. Um,
We have
thank you
some of the
guys.
best likers ever, though. Seriously.
We do have some of the best likers and the best followers. The
All around the
outsiders.
world.
Hashtag outside crew. We can get that started. We'll get that trending on Twitter. Um, but yeah, thank you guys from Nigeria, from Ghana, from UK, from Ireland, from Mexico, from all over the United States. Thank you guys. We really appreciate the love and support as always. And we will see you guys again on Thursday for the Thursday Night Football Breakdown. So, as always, and as usual, come with us if you want to win. So, peace.